So, if you hang out in the literature analysis community, which is what this channel is, by the way, for long enough, you're going to come across a lot of discussion of the hero's journey. It's awesome and kind of terrifying how ubiquitous the hero's journey has been for the last 4,000 years of Western storytelling. Hercules, Star Wars, Beowulf, Lord of the Rings, The Odyssey, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, The Epic of Gilgamesh, Moana, all fall into the hero's journey. This framework for storytelling just seems to lend itself to epic, powerful stories, and also happens to fall neatly into the modern three-act structure, and is thus very appealing for audiences and writers. If you want an in-depth breakdown of all of the elements of the hero's journey, might I suggest an excellent video from Crash Course that I will link down the doobly-doo. I won't go for the whole laundry list, but it usually starts with a regular person living a regular life in what is generally the middle of nowhere. Then she, or well, usually he, but also she these days, because we're not idiots anymore, receives a call to action to go on a quest, to do a thing, or kill a guy, or get something, or, whatever, and, they go on it. This call to action may come from a supernatural being and may involve this character learning that they are special. You're a wizard, Harry, and all that. Once the hero accepts the quest, which they may not do at first, the quest is kicked off by them stepping over a threshold into another world. A magical world. Note, a threshold is a fancy word for barrier, and this can also involve them, traveling to said world. So this world is usually a fantasy one, but in more modern stories it can also be like a sci-fi world, a la Star Wars, or maybe even the criminal underworld, a la Zootopia. I told you this thing was everywhere, didn't I? And the majority of the story takes place in the fantasy world. So from here in the second act, the formula becomes less rigid, but, the hero basically has to overcome a series of trials and temptations on their way to completing the quest. In the classical journeys, the hero might have steamy, quasi-consensual sex with a goddess. In the modern ones, they're usually joined by a series of companions, which perhaps they have to gather on their way. At the end, the hero must confront the ultimate evil, and this often involves them having some atonement with their father figure or their family, and then they shall achieve enlightenment, or occasionally godhood. And in modern stories, this generally involves the character completing their arc. Then, having won the day, they return home, perhaps with a magical flight, like, the Eagles are coming! And their journey is either over, or they go on to further quests. Now, it's important to note that almost no hero's journey has, all 17 or 18 or how many there are elements, but most of them have most of those. But why am I laying all this out? Well, I just got around to seeing Wonder Woman, and I couldn't help but notice how the story falls neatly into the hero's journey. However, Wonder Woman is kind of a deconstruction of the concept, because in Wonder Woman, instead of a normal person entering a magical person enters the normal world, or, the real world. Basically, everything from a regular hero's journey gets flip-flopped. Diana grows up in what is for her the regular world, doing what is for her regular things. Then she gets a call to action when she comes in contact with a supernatural being, except this supernatural being is an American spy named Stephen Trevor, but he provides a call to action nonetheless. After deciding to go on her journey, Diana crosses what is literally a barrier and goes into a world that to her is mystical and foreign. One part of the hero's journey that I didn't mention at the beginning is the fish out of water section. This comes right after crossing the threshold and generally involves the hero marveling about how weird and strange and bizarre this new world is. Harry is taken to Diagon Alley and gets his mind blown by all the awesome wizard stuff. You know how it goes. In Wonder Woman, this also happens, but it generally takes the form of dick jokes and, playing dress-up, which I all found very funny. Another minor element of the hero's journey can be the travel into a place of ill repute. This was innovated in the noir crime stories of the 1940s. The Opium Den is generally the classic example. Zootopia does this explicitly when they go into the nudist colony, and Zootopia, again, is actually a send-up of those crime noir hero's journey stories. Anyway, Diana and Steve go into a bar, a place of ill repute, and they gather their questing compatriots, which is another more modern element of the hero's journey. These quest companions can have plot importance ranging from just having a minor emotional effect on the hero to having their own motivations and character arcs. Wonder Woman goes for the former, but I also just finished reading JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 Stardust Crusaders, in which supporting characters all take up major parts of the story, having their own backstory, motivations, and even villains sometimes. Now all squatted up, Diana and company go face a series of trials. Diana doesn't have sex with gods, but she does slam hands with Chris Pine around the film's midpoint, which, might be even better. She faces off against her ultimate evil, learns the secret behind her parentage, becomes a literal god, and completes her quest with some heartache and character development thrown in to round out her enlightenment. She then embraces the human world and goes on more adventures. So that's the hero's journey, and one thing I want to leave you with is that despite being thousands of years old, the hero's journey is not a static concept. You shouldn't just know the hero's journey so you can notice it in stories and use it to sound smart to your friends. You should study the hero's journey because it's evidence that over the course of our history, mankind has improved not only, their ethics and their tools, but also their stories. As I've shown a lot throughout this video, the hero's journey has evolved a lot over the years, adding elements, dropping others. And the framework has improved over its lifespan. As proof of this, let me submit that Moana and Star Wars are a whole lot better than Beowulf and the Odyssey. Sorry, Homer and Lit Professors, but it's true, come on. And this Wonder Woman movie shows us that the hero's journey is still evolving, and that to a hero, our world may be as strange and mystical as theirs is to us. Everything evolves. Everything moves on, whether we want it to or not, and hopefully it moves on to a better place. Getting it there is the whole point of this channel. So to my fellow weavers, I hope you learned a lot. I promise longer videos are on the way. In the comment section, please tell me what you thought of the new Wonder Woman. I think it's the best of the new DC canon personally because, it's competent and not a mess. If you want to have all of my love, spread this video around because I'm pretty sure that if I don't reach triple subscriber digits by the end of the year, my parents will disown me. Anyway, thanks for watching. Y'all be good.